Hi everyone, welcome back. We're looking at a tire that for some reason or another has a stranglehold on every single grassroots drifter right now. The Kenda Vezda UHP KR20 A Summer UHP steel belted radial tubeless tire, which is way too many words. And I'm trying to figure out just why people like this tire so darn much, because quite honestly, we are getting asked about it so much on martiniworks.com. So if you're looking for tires, wheel and tire packages, or performance parts, mod your car over at martiniworks.com. We're the folks that actually give a shit about making sure that you build your car the right way. I'm gonna be jumping into the Kenda Vezda UHP, kind of breaking down maybe some of the objective, fancy marketing terms that Kenda has released on this tire. And then I'm also gonna talk a little bit about more of the real use case scenarios and some of the feedback from the people out there that are using these tires every single day. Because quite honestly, all of the information on a website can be super cool, but a lot of times it just all feels the same. And they all use fancy terminology like it's an ultra high performance, that it has steel belted cords, that it lasts forever, etc., etc. And a lot of that is just jargon. It's ChatGPT stuff. So let's jump into it. What we're looking at right in front of us is a 255/35 ZR18. First thing that you're gonna notice is the design. We're looking at something that's a directional design, and quite honestly, if you're looking for a tire that looks really sharp, this is it. This is probably one of the most budget tires you can get that are gonna look as aggressive as it does. You can get these for as cheap as about 80 bucks per tire, all the way up to $140-ish per tire, depending on the sizes. Now, the Kenda Vezda UHP does come in tires sizes from 195/55 ZR15, which is a 15-inch diameter, all the way up to a 275/35 ZR20, which means that you can run these things on a lot of your street drift cars, but you're also gonna notice that some folks will throw these on their Camaros, on their Chargers, Mustangs, Corvettes. A lot of grassroots autocrossers will actually utilize this tire as well because it's a very affordable performance tire. Now, in terms of the facts from Kenda itself, this one specifically is a 300 treadwear. For those folks that don't know, treadwear is a very interesting number to use. Kenda goes out there, they use a base tire to test it across what I believe is 7,200 miles. Then they put this tire on the same exact test and they run it on the same 7,200 miles. They then make a determination on how much longer this tire is going to last in comparison to that base tire that they've tested. A 200 treadwear tire means it's gonna last twice as long, and a 300 treadwear tire means 3 times as long. We did it together. Now, this is a subjective kind of data point because it's only specific to Kenda and it's only specific to their summer UHP, which means if you look at a 300 treadwear for a winter tire, it's not gonna be the same length because the base tire is typically different. What you do need to know about the Kenda, outside of the fact that it has good traction, it's got a pretty good treadwear, and it handles temperature pretty well, is that these are very tight tires. They are very tough on the sidewall. They are very, very, very much a straight up and down tire. They do stretch, they're not the best at it, and a lot of that has to do with their sidewall strength. Now, we went through and we actually reviewed probably about 300 different reviews of folks who drive on these tires to give you the feedback that we're about to inform you on. Number one, let's talk a little bit about why this tire is so good as a drift tire. For those that don't know, drift motorsport's taking over the world by storm, and those that are not even drifting on these tires are ending up buying them because they just look so dang good on like a show car or just a daily driver, because they are pretty aggressive looking. One of the main reasons the Kenda Vezda UHP works so well is that it has a higher operating temperature range, so they maintain grip and they don't just fly apart at higher temps when you're drifting. However, they can lack grip at the temps for autocross due to the overall lower temperature. These things can handle heat like a champ. It's what makes them so good. Remember, with drifting specifically as a motorsport, if you're just jumping into it, we have a ton of videos out there on it as well, but you're heating up and you're cooling down tires pretty consistently. Also, you're getting them hot very, very fast. Objectively faster than you probably should, which is why tire management and tire heat management when you're drifting is so important if you want to make sure that your tires last as long as humanly possible. And folks really like the Kendas because they can do that really well. However, on the autocross side, they don't do it quite as well. Because the tires can't really get up to temp as fast, they do have a tendency to wear a little bit quicker in that motorsport in comparison to something like drifting. We do often see a lot of people compare this tire to an Accelera or to an Ironman even, for instance, and a lot of people are asking which one should you buy. We've noticed that the Kenda sits best on cars that are probably right about 300 to 600 crank horsepower on the drifting side. Pretty much anything if you're daily driving these, as long as you know that you're getting yourself a summer tire, which means it's not going to do the best in cold weather below 40 degrees. But really, if you're looking for something that can do a little bit more, you might want to get a different tire at a little bit lower horsepower, something underneath that 300 range. This still does really well, but a lot of times people will start to say the Accelera or even like the Nexen SU1 sometimes can do just a little bit better. However, this has a ton of rubber on it, which means this is going to last a very, very long time as long as you manage the heat cycles very well. Now, as a summer ultra high performance tire, there's a couple things that most people look at for determining if this tire is for them. Forward bite, side bite, consistency, and wear. A lot of people reported that the forward bite on this tire is pretty good, giving it an average rating of about 7 out of 10. Side bite though, not so much. We talked about that a little bit before, but because this sidewall is so dang tough, you're not gonna see a lot of bending in it, especially when you're throwing lateral G's on it. Most people rated this right about a 6 out of 10. Why that's a big deal? Well, quite honestly, especially in driving, you do want a little bit of side bite so that you can maintain a level of traction when you're giving it your 8/10ths. Again, we're talking a lot about motorsport here. In terms of a summer tire, this is gonna do absolutely fantastic. It's a great budget summer tire. It's a great all-around good tire. The Sipens here are gonna help with you, but we're gonna get into that here in just a second. I'm mostly talking to the folks that are looking to actually really use and abuse these tires, and then we'll get into the daily driving, I promise. However, consistency is 9 out of 10 on these tires. There's a lot of people that report as long as you do your camber, your toe, your alignment adjustment the right way, these things burn perfect. For some reason, Kenda has just nailed this. And I don't know if it has to do with their experience from Formula Drift. I don't know if this has to do with just how they're made or where they're made, but they just got this thing nailed down to perfection in terms of wear and consistency, which is just so freaking cool, because a lot of times the worst thing that can happen if you're using a tire and abusing it is when you only wear a certain half of it, or for some reason you start to get chunking in another area, and this side of the tire can be great, but this side of the tire is absolutely gone, and nobody wants that. You want to be able to maximize your drive time as much as you can. And there's folks on like the forums and stuff that will say that they've ran these things for 60 plus laps drifting, 100 plus laps drifting, and it's like, are you psycho or is that true? And the answer is it's a little bit of both. When these are put in the right position to win, they do an incredible job at keeping you on the track. Now, it would not be an honest tire review from Martini Works if we didn't talk about maybe some of the things that it may not be the best at, because honestly, we don't want you to buy something from us and then you end up hating your life because it didn't do what you thought it was gonna do, because we are the only folks, it seems like these days, that will tell you sometimes the bad news. Now, Kendas do have a couple issues. Number one, they do have an issue with chunking in the center right here. You're gonna see this nice big center tread that's gonna help you with that high-speed traction. Now, what it's from not heat cycling to the proper temps, which can cause a blister, and then that blister will pop, and then the rubber essentially melts away. It can cause a lot of noise inside the car and things like that. So number one, if you're seeing that or if you're hearing that while you're trying to find your next set of tires, you need to make sure that you're getting these tires up to temp before you go off and slide them around. Now, number two is the Vezdas need to warm up to be flexible. If you're heating them up too quickly, it can cause issues. A lot of times with the Kenda specifically, it is a very temperature sensitive tire, meaning that as long as you do things the right way, it's gonna treat you right. But if you try going out there and just ripping on it, you're gonna see an excessive wear, you're gonna see a lot of that blistering, and you're gonna see a lot of it just start to shred apart. Now the tread design helps a ton in this, but we're gonna get into that here when we talk about this tire just for normal, everyday use. Everyday use, this tire is gonna be banging. One of the things that I would always recommend is, since you are getting a directional tire, just make sure that you're getting it installed and balanced from folks who actually know that. One of the biggest killers that we see is people will ask a bunch of questions and then they go buy these at their local tire shop, and then they'll buy some wheels and they'll get them mounted reversely. And that always stinks, because you don't wanna be the butt end of a joke, literally. Here's some things to keep in mind from a tread design perspective. You've got these channels right here, you've got these sipes exiting, you've got this, that's gonna be for your water excavation, which I think is pretty nice. In terms of the actual tread design, I'm not entirely sure what these small little grooves do besides probably help this tread block actually adjust and move around, especially with heat. You're gonna notice those steel cords are right on the edge right here. That's why you're getting absolutely zero bend on something comparable to maybe a Conti, which might have a little bit more flexibility for that lateral grip. It's a super good looking tire. I mean, I think it goes without saying that most people love these tires because the tread looks awesome. The sidewall, very boring, nothing too crazy. I think the biggest thing that I would love to see from Kenda is them getting a little bit more creative with the sidewall, because at the end of the day, if you're gonna have a really cool aggressive tread design, that also probably means that you have the capacity to make a really cool sidewall design. And unfortunately, this just looks like a very basic tire. It just says Kenda Vezda UHP on the side, nothing too crazy, so you're not really getting it for that. But this, from a back shot phrasing, is a really cool tire to peek at, and I think it does an excellent job. I'd highly recommend these tires if you're planning on doing something where you have one car. You just have a BRZ, you just have a GR86, you just have a 350Z, you have one car, and you're trying to get into deciding if you'd like to drift. This is gonna be a great tire for you. It's affordable. We actually mount and balance wheels and tires for free at martiniworks.com, so you can get these ready to go, installed and on the wheels for you, so all you have to do is throw them on the car. These also are gonna do really good if you just need 8 to 12 tires for a drift weekend, and you might find yourself not even using all of those. The reason we have so many, there's 8 that I'm staring at over there, is because Jackson has an S chassis. He's got about 550 horsepower, and he runs 255/35 ZR18 Kenda Vezda UHP tires for his drift car. And he loves them because they're consistent. He loves them because they work well, they handle heat well. The only big thing is when you don't know how to manage heat cycles, they can kind of bite back. And so you do need to make sure that if you're planning on using these, do some research. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your temps when you're driving on these for a drift day or for an autocross day, and I think you'll be just fine. But let us know what questions you have on this tire, or if you'd like us to review another tire, because the big thing for us is we want to tell you like the objective facts that are coming to us from the manufacturer, but I also just want to share with you what is the community saying about the tire, how are they experiencing the tire, and some things that we've picked up along the way by drifting on these ourselves. So if you do have questions, let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for Martini Works Unbox. And if you want to see more car builds, if you want to see us talk about more car modifications, head on over to our main channel, Martini Works. And if you want to hear us babble and yap and be certified yappers, check out the Martini Works podcast, where we upload weekly videos on Friday talking all about the car scene, car parts, car community, and the trends that are happening. I'm Alex Martini. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you on the next one.